Welcome everybody back for some more Minecraft on the channel. We're going to go a little bit back to basics with this episode, and we're going to sort of avoid the industrial sort of side of things and go back to what I originally wanted to do with this series, is head back, take it slow. We've set up the original farms for the world, so we should in theory be set up for the future. There's some other things that obviously we need to do, but we can obviously do that later down the line. We will be visiting some of those farms because we will require some of the resources that they are making and producing, but that is purely to set up for the future. Anyway, back to the starting area of this base. Obviously, I spawned somewhere in this general area, hundreds of blocks in that direction, and found a beautiful village. Actually, I came on like this, the other side of this mountain. I came over and I saw a beautiful village that was situated just in the beginning of a swamp biome, which I've obviously now turned into an industrial area and completely ripped the village apart. But in the future, we'll obviously have separate villages in this direction over here. But I want to make the world feel a little bit more alive, not to make stuff look messy like this. I want to make, like, not necessarily storage systems and stuff, because they'll come in the future, but at least have an area to store the most, or just to make the storage areas look a little bit pretty. I also wanted to go ahead and, well, obviously this is not going to be moving anytime soon because I'm obviously still using this construction thing here. We'll completely go past that, but I wanted to talk to you guys about some plans for this area. Obviously we're going to be building a huge castle up here, which will obviously be kind of like the main area of the base, but I'm actually going to go ahead and pull the mountain out to, I believe, well, this block here, because everything is going to get raised up. So the actual mountain will come all the way out to here. And I'm not going to step it down too much. I will do a little bit of terraforming to make it a little bit sense. But essentially the mountain will go ahead and come out to this block here. And obviously we'll go ahead and fill this in. And we'll see all this all being all flat. So once it's now all filled in like so, you get a better understanding of sort of what's going to happen. So I'm going to have a tower of the castle sort of spreading out to there, and a tower of the castle spreading over to here, and somewhere in the middle down here we're going to have a little bit of a slope going in to this area down here. Now obviously we're going to have to go ahead and fill this whole little kind of like wall in here, so we're going to have to obviously build up at some point to a very particular level, and this is going to take a lot of dirt and a lot of stone to go ahead and complete this, because although I did mine out quite a lot of an area, like doing this takes so much time to go ahead and do, and I'm not gonna go ahead and obviously fill this all in with dirt. And I mean, I'm making sort of like a template of what I want to do sort of for the future of it, because obviously I'm going to make it so it looks sort of semi-natural, as if the area has been not taken over but kind of like transformed into being an area where a castle is and a village is and all of that stuff. Now I'm not too sure if I've got loads of dirt sort of stored everywhere. Obviously I've done a lot of mining and I have got a lot of dirt sort of scattered around the world, and I have pretty fast sort of efficiency. You can see how fast it is as soon as I hit it, really. You can kind of get some sort of rough idea of where all this stuff is going to go, and then I'm going to have like a dungeon entrance over here and that kind of thing. I don't really know why I've somehow managed to leave an air gap. I have no idea how that's even possible. But you basically get a rough idea of what sort of the scale of this is going to be, and then it's obviously going to go quite far back up here, and it's going to be like a big castle. I'm obviously going to have to flatten all this land anyway, just because it won't look completely right if it's just half castle, half like land. So I'll have to flatten it anyway. This is quite satisfying, to be fair. So I have to flatten it sort of in the future, and then obviously the castle will be on this side, and we'll have courtyards and sort of areas outside the castle where there'll be stuff as well. I've always liked castles for some reason. I've always liked building them in Minecraft before. If you go right back to the channel roots, you'll see that I've done castles many times in the past, and I'm sticking to that now. But yeah, obviously we're gonna have to have some problems with this, but I'm basically building a big wall, pretty much. Until we get to a point where we can't really build anymore. Obviously we'll go ahead and fill all this in with torches and stuff, so nothing can spawn in there. But for now it's going to be a little bit of a mob farm. But that gives us sort of a better idea of what this area is going to look like, and I want to bring it out like this and bulge it out and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to try and make sort of like a framework for like a staircase to get up there, because going up this way is not like that good, and I kind of want to find like a nice middle spot. So obviously we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sort of like 45, 46 kind of blocks between each side of the area. So obviously that's quite a nice number to go ahead and divide by 2, but I want to divide it by so we got 23 blocks to the center. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the center block, basically between that point over there and that point over there. But then that kind of looks, well, I suppose it doesn't, because it's only here, no. So yeah, so this will be the center, and then we basically need a staircase that goes, it doesn't have to be direct center like that, but I think I'd direct it more this side. And then the annoying thing is that we need to basically build the staircase backwards. So instead of doing it like we would normally, you need to do it backwards in such a way where it makes kind of no sense, but sense at the same time. So you have to build it I just build up with stone. Remember, this is all framework, so then we get to a point where we can actually kind of reach it from ground level. And basically the staircase will end here. So it's not centered to this area, it's centered to the castle at the top. And then essentially what we'll do with that is we'll get ourselves a I don't know what they're called. Not the grindstones. They're called stone cutters, aren't they? get ourselves the stone cutter. I'm pretty sure I had one in a chest somewhere, but I do have a lot of stone bricks from before. I pretty had some stairs somewhere as well. But I was gonna, yeah, I do have some stairs left. Mostly I need stairs more than anything. Yes, it's okay. So if I go ahead and turn like all of the blocks that I have right now, not only into stairs, but I turn the stone into stone brick, because I think stone brick will look nicer, and then I get myself like, yeah, probably that many stairs to be fair, because it's quite a distance to travel, and then we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're continuing this pattern up, and then I'm not sure what I want to do, because I don't want to step the land down, but I don't want the staircase to look like weird, if that makes sense, because it's gonna look like a floating staircase at the moment, and obviously it's gonna look like that because it's not like in the land, it's just on the land, and it makes no sense to be here. I mean, obviously it's very close to this thing here, but this thing's not going to be here for long. And remember, this takes us to the top, but in the same style as the staircase that's there and the one that's down there, and then you make the plan around it look realistic and nice, and you make it terraform. So I'm gonna obviously get some stone out and get the dirt blocks on top to be, oh, I wanted to end here. I wanted to end with the staircase here. There we go. So it did work out in the end, so I'm going to quickly go sleep, and I'll show you what I mean in the morning. So obviously, when I've never really built much, I've never really landscaped or terraformed much in Minecraft before, but I think I'll show you sort of what I did sort of over here. Like obviously I stepped the land down, but then in the corners I like smooth them out into like this diagonal. But what I really should do is kind of try and do what Minecraft does is watch this over here. It like steps it and then steps it down again. But the reason why I've done it like this is because I wanted the land to kind of like flow, and then it steps back down, sort of down the side here, where the land comes natural, so you can kind of see what I've changed and that kind of thing. And you can see that obviously down here I've made this all flat and everything. Obviously it wasn't too dark enough. I wanted to send that flying. But all the land that's down here is all nice and flat. And then obviously we take the route that goes up from here, and obviously we have to add stuff into this in the future, like side steps and all that kind of stuff. But we step up the land and then up the stairs, and then we're in the market area, and then we obviously this hole's not going to be here in the future, but then we step back up the stairs, because you have to think of it not how it is now, but how it's going to look, because it's going to look like this in the future. Just make sure those rails are somewhere safe. So it's going to look like this in the future, and you'd never know that there was a tunnel here. Obviously you'd know there was a tunnel there, but and everything flows up, and then obviously we're going to have to come up here, and instead of making it a straight staircase, we need to make it a sort of a like, I was going to say like this, yeah, like that kind of, and then you go here and like that, and then we kind of like sidestep up the land, and then to keep it sort of natural, and then got to bring it around the land again, and so on and so forth. But it's hard to do this on it's harder to do it on angles, and I've been watching a lot of like YouTube tutorials and stuff on how to do this kind of thing, and people are like, the hardest thing to do is stairs on angles, but you kind of get this, it's horrible that it's raining, but you get like this kind of structure going on, but you want everything to flow kind of into each other, but again, not at the same time. But the stairs don't work how you'd expect them to work, and then you are left with this kind of thing on the end because the actual stair is not in the position that you want, and then you have to take like apart the land around what you're trying to do, and then you're kind of stuck with this kind of shape, and then this kind of looks weird, and then you have to kind of go ahead and sort of terraform the land that's around what you're trying to build over what you're building itself, and that kind of makes sense. But I think I'll wait till the rain clears and I'll continue building this, and then it finally stops raining. But you kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Like, I'm trying to like blend sort of what I've got going on down here by making these paths, but sort of connecting them in like different shapes and ways, and getting a path from something that doesn't exist yet to something that does, and then you've got to pull an entire... that was too many blocks. And you're kind of pulling the path in a direction that goes... it has to go in some kind of direction and lead somewhere. Obviously I'm not going to do these, but you can kind of do it as if people have walked on the path and sort of taken over the time and sort of damaged the area where people have walked the most, that kind of thing. And sometimes you can do a bit too much, like that shouldn't, you can't put them too close to the edge of blocks, but then you kind of find the line of, again, you can't do it right first time, and then you lead up to the grand staircase, which will lead to something that will be here in the future. And I want to obviously drop this down, but I want to drop it like 2 at a time. So go 2 and then kind of drop like this, and I'll do it like more on the other side as well, for a bit more perspective. So that's 2, and then drop 2 again, and then we drop down to sort of here, and then we're dropping down to here. I'm trying to give a bit of a wider perspective of this because it's kind of going to be hard to see. And obviously we've got these blocks, and we just do this in the gaps. I'm trying to get down without... Let me come down. and that's how we step down. And then you just sort of blend it back. So you're gonna have to like build kind of like backwards on yourself. And then you get to a point where it looks okay, and then in these gaps you just basically block like this. I'll do it on this side. I'll show you guys kind of what I mean. Like, you build it down. Then you're at this ground level. And then you gotta, like, take it back to the natural landscape. Like that. And then you kind of do the same again. And you will be left with like anomalies like that, which you just fill in like this, and then you get to a point like this, and you're not sure what to do with this, so you fill it in, and then you fill that to there, and then you're kind of stuck with this kind of shape, but that kind of shape's okay. And you keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't go anymore, and then you've made, well, like a natural kind of landscape kind of situation here. Then all you have to do is do that, and then it kind of looks natural in its own like regard. Obviously sometimes you have to change the terrain around to kind of match. Sometimes it makes no sense, but you get the rough idea, and then you get stuck with these kind of situations. But that happens in the landscape anyway, and now you're left with something that was like a great big hole, and now you've got something that kind of makes sense to be there, and it would be grass, because the stone's up there. And then all this will turn to grass eventually, and then you've got this kind of like nice, kind of like landscape kind of looking thing. And that's going to annoy me now that I put that there. It kind of has to drop. Yeah, the landscape just has to go back up again. There you go, and it steps back up. I don't know, you kind of have to play around with it, and that looks back to makes a little bit more sense. But you kind of want to try and avoid these 2 block gap areas. But you're going to see, and then you have to like pack them out, if that makes sense. See, and now you haven't got that kind of area there, but then this area looks nice and flat, but you just go back and trim, and now the landscape kind of falls off again, and it kind of looks less natural. Then you end up doing the staircase thing, which is what you don't want to do, because then the landscape doesn't look very natural. Yeah, I think that kind of looks a bit weird, but maybe it gives like a kind of a little weird perspective kind of thing. But you wouldn't have this next to that and then not have something else, if that makes sense. Yeah, that kind of makes... that looks ugly. I don't know how to make it look natural, but I kind of understanding how it works and how everything does. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today's episode as the sun sets in the distance. A little bit of work done. Obviously, I'm going to have to do a lot of mining and stuff to get all of the materials and stuff. I have been slowly smelting up stone and stuff and cobblestone in these as we were doing that. But it's going to take a while. And then I need, like, coal to make the lanterns, but I can trade for those, I suppose. And then I can give you kind of a little better idea of kind of what it will look like when it has lights. Obviously, this is not going to be it. So we leave the first one, which is obviously a slab. And then... that's the slab, and then we go. The positive is it's a nice even number like the one down there is. Kind of like that, it makes no sense, so. I think the key thing is to just place blocks in random areas and see if it works. Like that. And it kind of looks more natural, but then I'm obviously going to have a different staircase that leads up to the portal over there, so it doesn't need to be as natural. obviously have I think this would come around more. And this would come there. Like I said, you can't nail it on the first one because it's not going to look right first time. And that would be dirt, but then that wouldn't be there. I kind of feel like it would go like that and then go up. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fiddling around and playing with it off camera or in the next episode, but it kind of gives a better idea of what the area will end up looking like in the future. So I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless, and obviously I just did some basically landscaping and talking to you guys, but hopefully that gives a better understanding of what it's going to be like. And then obviously this side will then step down as well, and then sort of follow sort of this is what I was kind of going for, this kind of natural kind of thing where it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense the further you get down towards the ground level. So like this makes sense, and then it just doesn't make sense at all. But then the way I've done it kind of looks weird, and I can't really understand why it looks weird. But it does. It didn't look right. And then that kind of makes sense now. Then you'd have a dirt block here. I don't know. A lot of fiddling is going to go and happen with it. I'm going to mess around with it off camera and break it and then destroy it, and then that looks better, doesn't it? So that kind of looks nice now. It kind of makes it more natural, and then you can go up there as you would normally. But I hope you guys enjoy nonetheless, and you enjoyed me doing some building for a change that wasn't a farm, and hopefully kind of learned something from this. Obviously I have no idea what I'm doing, but you can kind of get a rough idea of what I'm going for, which is the plan after all. But I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless, and I'll see you guys in the next one for some more Minecraft. I also do apologise for this video being late, but I hope you guys did enjoy nonetheless, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.